Assessment. What's your response when you hear that word? Authentic assessment is often regarded as having some realism or real-world relevance to it. It's a term that's been around since the early 90s, but more recently, commentators have started talking about the need to develop students' digital and technological literacies, but also their human capabilities within a digital world. The rise of AI and its ability to score well in a range of undergraduate exams poses additional challenges in assessment, particularly written essays. Now, before I go any further, I just want to be clear that I'm not advocating that we ditch written assessments or individually submitted work. These have value and can also satisfy many of the criteria associated with authentic assessment. However, perhaps it's time we diversified the assessment landscape a little, expose students to more group assignments, new challenges, and considered assessment as something that can be for learning rather than merely an assessment of learning. Can we move from preparing students for the world of work, in which the status quo is maintained, to something a little more progressive that enables our students to become actors of positive change within the work of the world? Digital media projects are an opportunity to develop students' research skills while honing their teamwork and digital capabilities. I've become particularly interested in this authentic digital interface and have established two new forms of assessment within my teaching. The first is a pair-produced podcast task, and the other a group-made science film. For those of you who aren't sure, a podcast is a program made available in digital format for download over the internet, according to Wikipedia at least. Now, we're pretty good at training our next generation of ecologists, biologists and scientists to communicate within the academic and professional spheres, but perhaps we're less good at training students to communicate their subject to audiences outside of these bubbles. With that in mind, I decided to ditch an unpopular essay from a unit that I'd inherited. I wanted the new assessment to improve communication skills, including critical debate between students. I wanted it to promote a deeper learning experience for students and to offer them an opportunity for collaborative learning. I wanted to diversify the assessment landscape and to develop digital media training in line with the program level learning outcomes and desirable graduate attributes. And so using a podcast seemed to tick all of these boxes. But how does it work in practice though? Well, for starters, students attend a practical where I give them a handbook and they're given time to get to grips with the free-to-use editing software Audacity. They also take on the role of the marker and engage with exemplars to build their assessment literacy right from the start. At the end of the session, students are then randomly assigned a formative podcast partner with whom they go on to produce a short podcast on a given topic. And these are typically about 5 minutes long. They're told to complete some independent research, just as they would with an essay, and then create a script with their partner prior to recording and editing. Students then receive feedback on their formative efforts before choosing a new partner to create their summative podcast with. These summative titles are related to conservation biology, but also include wider sustainability factors. Now, I conducted a 2-year evaluation of student opinion, gathering quantitative and qualitative data. When students were asked to compare essay assessments with podcasts, the vast majority believed that podcasts were more fun, afforded them heightened creativity, and instilled a greater sense of confidence in their ability to communicate. Interestingly, most thought that podcasts were quicker to complete than essays and that they allowed for deeper learning of their subject too. Although it's worth me stressing here that we didn't investigate that directly, so some caution and further investigation would be needed. Most students voted in favour of more group assessments in the future, although pairs seem to be more popular than teams of 3 or more. The free text responses in the surveys backed up the numbers pretty well, and our thematic analyses of these are discussed in more detail in this paper. But here are a few quotes from the survey to give you a flavour of their opinions. Now, podcasts are fairly straightforward for learners to get to grips with, as they only need to concern themselves with the audio component. However, in some respects, that actually makes them more challenging, as the story relies solely on the audio. Filmmaking, on the other hand, combines audio and visual components, and offers a different mode of communication, and one which helps to show off more of the beauty of the natural world. Now, I'm in no doubt that many of you work in ecology because you were intrigued, excited, perhaps inspired by nature documentaries. The influence of digital storytelling is stronger now than it ever has been. For example, think about the campaign on plastic that followed the BBC's Blue Planet 2 series. It was a great example of the catalytic effect that film can have for environmental awareness and action. At Bristol, many of our undergraduates are very vocal about their desire to become natural history filmmakers or science communicators of some sort. So we set about developing a new week-long filmmaking unit aimed at developing students' digital, academic and teamwork skills, as well as their confidence in these skills, in order to prepare them for life after graduation. Students typically work in groups of 3 or 4, and they learn how to storyboard, source, shoot and edit footage, and the goal is for them to work together to create a 5-minute educational film on a biological topic. Scaffolding support within digital media projects is really important though, so students were given a filmmaking guide to help them familiarise themselves with the filming and editing process prior to the week. Students used this guide to create a short video clip about themselves, which also served as a formative activity and allowed the class to get to know each other a little bit on the first day. We build in some formal teaching on that first day, as well as a visit from professional filmmakers, but after that, students managed their time by themselves until the submission deadline on day 5. The final films typically include a combination of footage students film or animate themselves, as well as stock footage sourced freely online. Some student groups opt for presenter-led films, others choose narrator-led formats, but all films are pitched for a general adult audience, forcing students to pay attention to their non-scientific audience. They receive group marks for their final film, as well as group marks for a storyboard, but individual marks for a written literature review, a peer review task, and a reflective critique. Now, we evaluated the impact of the filmmaking unit by using a combination of pre- and post-workshop questionnaires. Qualitative and quantitative data were in agreement and showed that students had a boost in confidence in the areas of academic skills, teamwork, communication and digital capabilities. We categorised our qualitative data into 6 main themes. Our findings suggest that students recognise the authenticity of team-based digital media projects, understanding how they'll prepare them for life after university. Several students commented on their ability to negotiate and delegate work, and students discussed time management, organisation, cooperation, listening, consideration of others' emotions and digital capacity, and how their experiences would help them prepare for their professional lives. It's obvious that many of the digital and technological aspects of the filmmaking course will hold real-world value for students keen on pursuing careers in natural history filmmaking, but the ability to source, create, edit and produce digital media in various formats is a valuable 21st century skill, including for academics giving presentations at conferences. Many students recognise their own emotional state, the emotions of others, and an ability to regulate their emotions. This returns to the point I made at the beginning about the need for greater digital and technological literacy, but also the call for the development of students' human capabilities within our increasingly digital world. Many uniquely human characteristics, i.e. those that cannot be replicated by machines, shone through in our analysis, things like collaboration, empathy and compassion. Embedding the film within a portfolio of assessment that includes some personal reflection can encourage the parallel development of students' technological literacy and their human literacy. For both the podcasts and the films, students show great pride in their finished products. Many were eager to show them to their friends and family, something no one has ever said to me about their report or essay. Sharing products with a wider audience, including online platforms like YouTube, is predicted to boost student engagement in digital media tasks, but can probably also increase their pride and confidence too. Many students have commented that they're planning to create other podcasts and films, having had a taste for it in one of our assessments. But what about this idea of students being actors of positive change within the work of the world? Well, this boosted confidence and motivation is a great springboard for students to become transformers of society. What if students were asked to create educational films on specific themes for targeted audiences or beneficiaries? They could make digital resources to be watched by school children as part of their education each year. Or perhaps students could be tasked with creating a short video to boost the scope and impact of an upcoming academic research publication via TikTok. There's scope for much more powerful outputs that benefit not only the student creators, but also a variety of audiences beyond just the academic marker. In summary, there's real authentic value in these digital media assessments. Students are required to research a given topic, they get to broaden their digital and technological skills and their ability to communicate beyond the academic bubble. Their human capabilities are likely to be boosted when negotiating collaborative projects and while considering different audiences for their products. Not everyone will agree, but I think learning should be enjoyable, fun even, as the more one enjoys a task, the more likely they are to engage with it fully. And with that in mind, I want to end with one of my favourite student comments from the podcast evaluation. Thanks for listening.